Harley Davidson just got hit with a brutal wake-up call. Honda's new cruiser has riders switching sides fast. After months of radio silence, CEO Jochen Zeitz is suddenly trying to reverse course. Is it a real fix or just panic mode? One thing's certain, Harley's future has never looked shakier. Honda just pulled the trigger, and Harley Davidson is standing there like it didn't even see it coming. While Harley's been busy trying to rebrand itself into a corporate diversity project, Honda's been cooking something very real. A new cruiser lineup that directly targets Harley's loyal customer base. And when I say targets, I mean bullseye. This isn't some concept sketch or vaporware PR stunt. It's an actual release. Bikes with that classic cruiser DNA, loaded with modern performance, and most importantly, at a price point Harley can't even look at without sweating. The early reviews? They're everywhere. The new Honda Rebel line and the Shadow update are already gaining serious traction online. Riders are calling them exactly what Harley used to be: reliable, aggressive, affordable, and most importantly, no nonsense. No lectures, no identity crisis, just real motorcycles made for real people who actually ride. Meanwhile, Harley's over there trying to sell you a gender-inclusive city cruiser that sounds like a toaster and costs more than a used car. Let's talk about that timing. While Honda's out here making moves, Harley is still limping from a pileup of disasters. The Livewire launch was a massive belly flop, with under 1,000 units sold. That alone would be bad, but then came the internal fallout. The hog community, Harley's core loyalist fan base, saw a 42% engagement drop. That's nearly half the riders tuning out. And that was before Q1 2024 dropped another bomb, a 15% dip in customer retention. If you're keeping score, that's a brand actively hemorrhaging its own community. And now, we get to Jochen Zeitz, Harley's CEO. The guy who ghosted the rider base for months while this was all falling apart is now crawling back with a carefully worded press release. Suddenly he wants to refocus on the core riding experience. Oh, really now? Now that your competitors are stomping you into the pavement, now you remember bikers? After you've spent years pushing DEI buzzwords and investor-friendly branding language, now you want to act like you're listening? Let's just say it. Riders aren't buying it. The statement didn't calm anyone down. If anything, it fired them up more. Zeitz tried to walk back Harley's identity shift, distancing the company from all the activist messaging and trying to wave the tradition flag again. But at this point, people are calling it what it is. Too late, too fake. You can't play both sides. You can't strip the soul out of a brand and then try to sew it back together when the money starts running out. And that brings us to the core issue. Harley's identity crisis has hit critical mass. Let's be real. This brand used to sell freedom, rebellion. That roar down an open highway that said, "I don't care what you think." Now it feels like it's run by a finance committee from San Francisco. Riders aren't dumb. They see the difference between real grit and PowerPoint patriotism. Harley's values used to be in the oil-stained garage, not the investor Zoom call. Then came the pivot. Harley wrapped itself in corporate social strategy, buried itself in ESG metrics, and made everyone sit through DEI culture workshops, which, again, might make sense in a tech company, but this is Harley Davidson. The people buying these bikes are vets, working-class riders, road warriors, not HR managers shopping for buzzwords. Harley didn't evolve, it detached. And in doing so, it forgot who its riders were. The Livewire disaster? That was just the cherry on top. Marketed as Harley's futuristic comeback, it sold fewer than 1,000 units. That's not a launch, that's a punchline. For a brand that built its legacy on the feel of a machine, the rumble, the power, the attitude, replacing all that with a silent, overpriced science project felt like betrayal. Riders didn't want electric. They wanted evolution that respected the legacy, not a soulless pivot into something unrecognizable. Even Harley's dealerships weren't safe. The classic, welcoming vibe, gone. Zeitz and his team redesigned them into sterile, boutique showrooms. You'd walk in and expect someone to hand you a glass of sparkling water instead of a service ticket. The couches, the clutter, the wall of ride photos, all replaced with cold lighting and clean counters. It stopped being a home for bikers. It started feeling like a showroom for people who just wanted to post a selfie next to a $30,000 bike they'd never ride. And let's not forget what they replaced those legacy bikes with: gender-inclusive city cruisers. No one even knows what that means, other than we're trying way too hard to impress people who will never actually ride one. It became all about optics instead of output. And while Harley was busy debating which demographic to chase next, Honda just built a bike that everyone actually wants to ride. And now, we're witnessing a full-on rider revolt. The forums exploding. Facebook groups on fire. Riders who've been loyal to Harley for 20, 30, even 40 years are done. They're not threatening to leave, they've already left. They're buying Hondas, Indians, Yamahas. They're posting side-by-sides. They're naming names. They're done begging Harley to come back to its senses. Now they're just watching it collapse. Two of the loudest pages right now? Not my brand and take Harley back. Combined, over 150,000 followers, and every day more people post pictures of their new rides, with captions like "Day one without Harley. Feels better already." It's not even out of spite anymore. It's just sadness turned into acceptance. And then there was the final slap in the face. A legendary dealership in Ohio, around since the 1950s, closed down after failing Harley's internal cultural compliance audit. That wasn't a business failure. That was a culture execution, and it triggered absolute outrage across the entire community, not because people were shocked, but because they weren't. And while all this happens, Harley's losing real ground fast. In 2023 alone, the brand lost 9% of its US market share, mostly to, you guessed it, Honda, Indian, and Triumph. These aren't just numbers. These are riders choosing a new future. These are decades of brand loyalty wiped out in a year. And veterans? Don't even get them started. Many of them built their lives around Harley, rode to war memorials on those bikes, introduced their kids to the brand through weekend rides, and now they're saying it plain as day: this isn't Harley anymore. The company that once represented grit and freedom is now just another brand trying to win over Twitter threads and corporate talking points. So now, the brand's soul is gone, the riders have walked away, and all that's left is a crumbling financial mess. Harley's financial nightmare is no longer coming. It's here. With the community rejecting everything from their bikes to their branding, the company's bottom line is bleeding. We're talking a 19% stock drop, multiple missed revenue targets, and investors bailing faster than riders at a Tesla Motorcycle Expo. And it's not just a few bad quarters. This has real-world damage. We're seeing factory layoffs and plant closures, especially in small towns that literally built their local economy around Harley. Shops, diners, mechanics, all struggling now because the company that once fed them is pulling out. And why? Because Harley lost its base and can't afford to pretend otherwise anymore. Walk into a dealership in Texas, Indiana, or Arizona right now and ask how things are going. What used to be packed showrooms full of loud engines and louder opinions are now half-empty floors with desperate price tags. Foot traffic is down, and dealers are being forced to slash prices just to move inventory. Deep discounts on bikes that no one wants, not because they're bad machines, but because Harley's name doesn't carry meaning anymore. And while Harley's busy trying to sell its soul back to riders who already moved on, Honda just tightened the grip. Their newest models aren't just good. They're dangerous to Harley. They're offering a cheaper, faster, more reliable alternative, and they're doing it right now. There's no waiting for supply chains or 6-month delivery windows. These bikes are ready to ride and built for people who want performance, not performative branding. And it gets worse. Even Harley insiders are turning on the brand. One former executive came out and said it plainly. "We didn't evolve the brand. We replaced it, and it shows." That's not some angry tweet. That's an insider admitting Harley lost the plot. And when the people who built the machine say it's broken, you know things are bad. And now we've hit the Honda advantage, the part Harley executives dread even more than customer surveys. Because Honda isn't just doing okay, they're thriving. Their Goldwing and Rebel series are owning both ends of the market, touring and entry level. Want a long-haul ride with tech and comfort? Goldwing. Want a smaller, lighter option that still handles beautifully? Rebel. Both are killing it in reviews, and bulletproof reliability is baked into the frame. And here's the punch that hits Harley right in the wallet: price. While Harley's top models balloon past $30,000, Honda's equivalents come in at almost half that. And you're not sacrificing quality. You're getting comparable performance, better handling, and way fewer headaches. And that matters to younger riders who don't want to finance a house just to buy a bike. Then there's the whole electric nonsense Harley's still trying to push. While Zeitz is out here championing live wire and carbon goals, riders are saying, "I just want to ride." Honda's sticking to gas-powered engines, keeping riders on the road instead of parked at a charging station for 2 hours. There's no battery anxiety, no lecture about sustainability, just fuel up and ride. It's almost like Honda remembered what motorcycles are for. And then there's the vibe. Honda has completely nailed the retro-modern blend, classic cruiser style with zero corporate baggage. You're not being marketed to like a LinkedIn intern. There's no identity politics, no boardroom buzzwords, just metal, speed, and freedom. The kind of thing Harley used to own. And now, Honda has it. Rider feedback tells the whole story. Early buyers are loving the comfort, the engine response, the no-fuss experience. One review literally said, "This is what Harley used to feel like." That right there, that's the dagger. Because if Honda can give people the emotional rush Harley abandoned, the game's already over. If you think Harley's downfall is just getting started, hit subscribe because the next chapter is going to be even louder than their engines used to be.